So in this video, I'm going to be doing a pencil rough on the follow-up page to what you see here, the real material. This is a double-page spread that came out on my website telling my comic book story, and what I originally did for the follow-up page, as you can see here, it's page 20, I did it all in Procreate. So what I want to do is take my thumbnails and basically manually redraw them onto an actual comic book artboard. So that's what I'm going to do here, and I'm just going to talk through my process a little bit. One of the things that I don't have the advantage of, obviously, working on paper, is the ability to take anything that I've drawn digitally and adjust it with the ease of a cut and paste, or a cut and rotate and shrink and whatnot. So when I'm working in this style, pencil on paper, there's no shortcuts. I'm flipping back and forth here between the actual finished artwork of the drawing that I did of the character Azure for a comic book series, the real material, because I'm wanting to make sure I get the elements of the costume correct. And you can see here that as I'm drawing, and I'm again basically eyeballing everything up by manually, I'm eyeballing it, moving, redrawing things onto the piece of paper here, working on hopefully what is going to be a dramatic and powerful looking shot of Azure here as he flies off back into the portal that's behind him. That's actually what's behind him, you can see right here. And as I continue going, I'm just blocking everything in, roughing stuff, trying to basically compose everything that we see here within this panel, trying to get this sequence to where there's the drama, there's the hopefully a cool angle. Right now I'm drawing in the falcons that are part of his character. He's got these 3 falcons that are part of who he is and who he hangs with, I guess. Going on to the other panel here, I just rule out the borders on the sides there, and blocking everything in. I think this obviously is a time-lapse video, and I'm speaking over the video after the fact, but I think it took me about a half hour to roughly block in all this artwork using my digital thumbnail that I did in Procreate, and work manually here. I guess I can call this manually. I guess it's more appropriate to call it working it with traditional pencil on paper. It's something I admittedly was dreading, because the last time I did this, when I inked on, well, let me back up a little bit. That page that you saw at the start of the video, that's on the iPads on my website, I penciled that digitally, but then I printed it out off of my Epson printer onto comic book sized artboard, and I inked it traditionally. And there was always a feeling of, when I was doing that, I had all these safety measures in place if I didn't like what was happening with the penciling. And that's a really nice thing to have, but at the same time, I kind of feel like it's kind of taken away from my skill as an artist, but more than an artist, also as a craftsman or a craftsperson, keeping the craft of drawing with just a pencil or ink or ballpoint pen or whatever on paper. So that's why I elected to, moving forward, is to go ahead and draw my pages on traditional media. So one of the things that I kind of discovered over the last 4 or 5 years of working digitally is another, and I'm gonna segue into another comment, is my eyes just have not been, and it could be because I'm getting older, but my eyes are also they're getting weaker, I think. And working on the computer, between the iPad and my iMac, I work on my computer for my day job all day, sometimes all night as well. I do work from home, but that blue light and I think is affecting me. So, and I've talked about this before, and admittedly I do kind of go back and forth between working digitally on the iPad or Photoshop sometimes, and on paper. But I think with the strain, or perhaps the blue light, if that is such a thing even, I think it's just affecting my eyes. And so going back to my drawing board, where I don't have to worry so much about the light, light emitting and hitting my eyes, I now have light reflecting off of the paper. So maybe that's a better, more healthy way to keep doing the art. Especially as I get older, I'm just more aware of the physicality that drawing actually takes on your body, whether you're sitting at a desk all day long and you're in a hunched over position, which I try not to do, but to the eye strain, obviously. So what I'm doing here is just working to where I can hopefully mitigate some of these health issues that might come along with being an artist, and all the strain associated physically and with the eyes, to where I'm now just working here and doing pencil on paper. And I know this is eventually going to change, because I do have points where I do travel, and being on the road is a reality every now and then, and sometimes I will want to draw and work on the artwork, and I know there'll be a slight difference between what the final output looks like on the iPad versus, or I should say digital versus drawing traditional on paper with pens and inks and all that cool stuff. And so here's just a final close-up detailed shot as we pan through looking at the finished pencil rough artwork. And so this is what it looks like. Back to pencil on paper. Thanks for watching.